Everybody is doing well. So let's do the chanting straight away. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Tudayambi Buddham saranam gacchami, Tudayambi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Tudayambi Sangham saranam gacchami, Tadayambi Buddham saranam gacchami, Tadayambi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Tadayambi Sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the six paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from their happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, about to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, about to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, about to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, about to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayataum gati gati parasum gati bodhi soha. Tayataum gati parasum gati bodhi soha. Tayataum gati parasum gati bodhi soha. So, as you may know, it's Vesak time, where we commemorate the birth, enlightenment, and the passing of the Lord Buddha, of Sakyamuni Buddha, or Gautama Buddha, another way to put it, the supremely enlightened Buddha of our times, our great teacher. And so I think it just started maybe yesterday, the month, and the full moon day is within about 2 weeks, I think. So just thought I'd share that with you. I know that there's quite a few events happening. I think the Melbourne one or Victorian one happened today at Melbourne Town Hall. I think it's next week or the week after is in Canberra. So that's the Australian one. And other ones around, obviously, and individual temples will also have some. And I know they had United Nations having it in Vietnam this year. I was invited to go, but declined as I'm not traveling right now. And it would have been nice. Also, going to Canberra would have been nice. Well, not really, actually. I'm not very impressed by. Canberra's a nice area, but I'm not impressed by politics and things like that. So to go and do Vesak at Parliament House wouldn't impress me. probably prefer to do it at a wonderful temple, actually, to be honest, So anyway, also Mother's Day is next Sunday in Australia. I'm not sure in other places in the world. I know we have different dates in different places, which is all good. It's all fine. It's funny that we know about all these days, isn't it? With globalization, people traveling around a lot, moving lots between different countries. So we get to know about all of these dates, which for me helps me to have no attachment to these dates because it's just made up by humans, isn't it? Maybe this one made up by these humans over this part of the world, that one, that part of the world. This one to do with the mountains, and this one to do with the moon and the sun and all sorts of things. But as I often say, always say really at these times, is good times to remember to check our mind, to see whether we have improved and to also continue to improve, keep good intentions. Like the Dharma allows us to do that, doesn't it? It's if you're really practicing Dharma and it's moment to moment, yeah, we may make some mistakes along the way, but we catch ourselves, right? At that time. So when it comes to things like respecting the mother, for instance, then we can remind ourselves on Mother's Day to do that. Also, we can do it on Vesak, can't we? Because the Buddha's mother, or the prince's mother, gave birth to him. So it's interesting how it comes about the same time every year. Anyway, I could waffle on, but I won't. So we'll do some meditation practice, but just prior to that, I'll tell you a little story, as I've been promising to do. Excuse me, itchy nose. I'm not picking my nose, by the way. I'm just itching it, scratching it. Anyway, I've told you this story once. I remember telling you once before, way back when we first started the classes, I think, when we were talking about concentration during the commentary on the Eightfold Path. Anyway, so there was this master anywhere in the world. Okay, I'll embellish it slightly to make it shorter and maybe more modern, but same meaning. Okay, this master liked orchids, the flower, and it was part of his mindfulness practice, but also, helping the environment, even though these particular orchids were inside, but also for his students, for other people, beautify the beautification, you could say, of that room or that place in the temple. So he was going away to visit another master, and he gave one of his young disciples, I think was a novice monk, the job of looking after his orchids. So once a day would have to go in there and water the orchids. Not too much water, not too little water. So practice the middle path. A good job for anybody to be given. And so anyway, the young guy did a really good job every day. And towards the end of the master's trip, near when he was coming back, the young guy's mind must have wandered off, I think. And he was watering, paying attention to just the watering, but not his elbows. And he knocked one of the pots, and it created a dominoes sort of reaction. One pot smashing onto the next pot until all of the orchids were smashed and the pots were smashed on the floor. None of them could be salvaged. And the young guy was so upset with himself and kind of fearful, even though there was nothing to fear with the master, so compassionate and wise. Anyway, the master came back the next day, and when the young guy got to talk with him, he apologized. He said, I have messed up all of your orchids. Please forgive me. And the master says, no need for forgiving. He said, I don't grow orchids to get angry. I don't grow orchids to test anybody. They're just beautiful flower, good for mindfulness, awareness practice. And I gave you the job of doing it, and it looks like you did a wonderful job until this happened, until yesterday. So, watering just enough, not too much, not too little, middle path to practice. But this time around, you were focusing probably too much on the water going into the pot that you forgot to be aware of your elbows moving around and you knocked the pot over. No problem. It's okay. So you can see that we need to practice a middle path, no attachment, as much as little attachment as possible. But also, um, don't think that things happen and you get angry or other people get angry. This is all made up in the mind. So this young guy practicing middle path, okay? But at this moment, went off the path. Too tight, maybe too loose, so the orchids came down on the ground. I just remind you that that story was actually in a book that was given to me. I think it was by a Chinese nun. I started teaching the young people, the teenagers and the young kids at Silai Temple, Foguanshan Silai Temple. Foguanshan means Buddha's light mountain. Silai means to the west. This was outside of Los Angeles, very large temple. I think probably one of the largest in the USA. Anyway, I used to go there like twice a week. And so I think the nun, Yi Fa, gave it to me. And so I could teach. And I utilized it for a little while, to teach stories from this book. There was most of the stories are really good for younger people. Not all of them. Some of them are too in-depth. So I thought I'd share that story with you. Practice middle path, not too tight, not too loose, not too much, not too little. Look after your orchids. In other words, your mind in this sense. Okay. Look after your pot, the body. So let's do some meditation now. So forget that story, utilize it as inspiration to practice well. And let's come inside the body now. Bring the mind inside the body. Well, first of all, get yourself comfortable, obviously. And release whatever tension you may have from the tips of the toes initially, all the way up your legs and up your back and sides, front, to your shoulders and to the tips of your fingers, and all around your neck and all around your head, right up to the crown of your head. So let's take a few moments to do this. Now you can scan your body once more just to see if there's any leftover tension. And if there is, release it. And bring your mind to the tip of your nose initially and follow the feeling of the breath as you breathe all the way into your lungs and back out your nose again. So breathing in and breathing out and focusing on the feeling of this breathing process. You can also count your breaths from 1 up to 10 to help keep you focused on the breath or the feeling of your breath. 1 in breath, 1 out breath is 1, and so on. But if you get distracted on the way towards 10, go back to 1 at that time. So if any thoughts arise or mental activity arises, don't cling to it or grasp at it. Try to force it away or deny it. But just let it go naturally as you replace your mind back onto your breath. And if your mind becomes dull or sleepy, wake it up a little bit by refocusing on your breath more brightly. So let's practice like this in silence for a short while. So now we can feel pleased with ourselves and fill ourselves with universal loving kindness, utilizing the visualization technique of filling our whole being with the white light. Really feel it. Feel yourself loving yourself, being your best friend. In a way, you could say allowing yourself to be happy, allowing yourself to free yourself from suffering, allowing yourself to be peaceful. Feel yourself with so much universal love and kindness that it now overflows and radiates outwards from your heart center, initially to your loved ones, family and friends, and enters their heart center and fills them with the white light too. May they also be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. And now also include those you regard as strangers, people that you're indifferent towards, neither here nor there from a feeling point of view. And also those you may regard as enemies. May all of these people have happiness and the causes of happiness be free from suffering and free from the causes of suffering. And may they all be peaceful. And now include all sentient beings. So let's radiate this loving kindness out further and further. All the living beings that live on the land, fly through the air, live in the waters, whether they're born from wombs, eggs, moisture, or through transformation, whether you know about them or not. Fill them with the universal loving kindness. So say, from your heart center, radiate outwards this universal loving kindness to all creatures, all beings. Now, distance-wise, throughout your whole state. So initially you're starting around your immediate area, and now throughout your whole state or counting. And all of the states and counties throughout your country. And all of the countries throughout the world. Those you're familiar with and may have an affinity towards. Those you're indifferent towards, as well as those that for whatever reason you may have some negative feelings about, thoughts. And have your loving kindness pervade throughout this whole world, including throughout the oceans, and down to the core of the earth, to the outermost atmosphere, and beyond, now throughout the whole solar system, and galaxy, and universe. And have your loving kindness pervade throughout infinite space, whilst also being present here and now to recite the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their sufferings. May the precious bodhicitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of shunyata, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. So hopefully you enjoyed that little story for meditation. It inspired you to look after your orchids, look after your pots. In other words, practice well. Look after your body, that's the pot. And look after the orchids, that's your mind. Okay, so inspire you, encourage you, all of these good qualities, So we are looking at or having a commentary on the Master Atisha's heart advice. Okay, so I think it was 47 lines. Or if you want, you can call them stanzas, short little verses. Some of them are extremely short, some yeah, mostly one sentence or two sentences. And some other ones, like I said, I'll have to give some more detailed commentary. So far, I'll just read to you the ones we've done so far. Probably the last time I'll do this for the first lot. So we covered 3 in the first week, 3 in the second week, 5 in the next week, and 3 last week. Today, I plan to cover 2, the 2 that I was actually hoping to cover last week, but run out of time. And then, like I said, if you want to have some commentary on these ones, then obviously print yourself out a copy like I did, or have it saved on your computer somewhere. And then you can refer to it, but also have a look at the videos as well, the commentary. Maybe take some notes as well, because it's very important teachings, these ones, as all of the Dharma teachings are. But especially when it comes from this Master Atisha, for instance, and maybe in the modern times, His Holiness Dalai Lama, they have such uh, deep understanding of the Dharma and such great skills for sharing the Dharma in the times that we live right now, okay? Or in the modern times, according to when they gave the teachings. So, starting like this. Until you attain enlightenment, the spiritual teacher is indispensable. Therefore, rely upon the holy spiritual guide. Until you realize ultimate truth, listening is indispensable. Therefore, listen to the instructions of the spiritual guide. Since you cannot become a Buddha merely by understanding the Dharma, practice earnestly with understanding. Avoid places that disturb your mind and always remain where your virtues increase. Until you attain stable realizations, worldly amusements are harmful. Therefore, abide in a place where there are no such distractions. Avoid friends who cause you to increase delusions, and rely upon those who increase your virtue. This you should take to heart. Since there is never a time when worldly activities come to an end, limit your activities. Dedicate your virtues throughout the day and night, and always watch your mind. Because you have received advice, whenever you are not meditating, always practice in accordance with what your spiritual guide says. If you practice with great devotion, results will arise immediately, without your having to wait for a long time. If from your heart you practice in accordance with the Dharma, both food and resources will come naturally to hand. Friends, the things you desire give more satisfaction or no more satisfaction than drinking seawater. Therefore, practice contentment. Avoid all haughty, conceited, proud, and arrogant minds, and remain peaceful and subdued. Avoid activities that are said to be meritorious, but which in fact are obstacles to the Dharma. And I mentioned last week, I'll just recap a little bit, last week about some of these type of activities that are thought to be meritorious. I mentioned some certain religious rites, dipping your head in water or something like that, thinking that the water and the action of dipping your head in it is going to purify your mind. This obviously is not true. You have to work on your mind to purify your mind. You can utilize these physical actions and things like water or whatever it is to be able to do that, or to enable you, to help you to do that. But it's actually the mind that needs to be purified. You can't do it with the water from a river. So I mentioned that, and there are many examples I could give, but I'll just leave it at that. But also some other things like, like the worldly stuff. Normally in our societies, you are brought up, you're given some sort of education. You have to do certain, or be reasonably good at this education, or kind of absorb it into your mind, and then good at implementing the information. the skills you may have learned from it in everyday life, eventually become an adult, and then maybe working, depending on what your choices are, of course. But this is the normal way things are. Um, Now, be careful that what you engage in, whether this is your studies, whether this is your type of work or your hobbies or sports or anything like this, be careful that it's not harmful, that it doesn't bring harm. And also be careful that you don't have bad intentions when you're engaging in this stuff. And then also that it's something that brings benefit to not only yourself, but to others as well. Okay, don't be selfish in making your choices, but also don't be selfish in the way that you carry out living with these choices. Okay, so some things may look like, oh, I'm doing really well, but maybe not. So you need to check your mind. Okay, if we do anything with bad intentions, selfish intentions, then this creates a negative karma, negative conditions. And how can that be called meritorious? Okay, so practice Dharma to the best of your ability, pure Dharma with pure intentions. Whether you do it intensely, in temples, at your own home, in groups, by yourself, or whether you are engaged a lot with the outside world, you need to look after your intentions and make sure that what you are reading from the Dharma or listening to with the Dharma is correct information, that you understand it correctly, and that you know how to implement it correctly. Okay? I wanted to mention that because I didn't last week and I should have. Okay, so the next two are like this. Profit and respect are nooses of the Maras. So brush them aside like stones on the path. And the next one after that is words of praise and fame serve only to beguile us. Therefore, blow them away as you would blow your nose. Quite like these examples. Beguile, not a common word, not used commonly, but it means to influence. It means to kind of like deceive even, to fool, to trick, So what the master's saying there is that the praise, when we're praised and when we have some sort of fame, which actually is not different really from infamy sometimes, then they only serve to kind of trick us, to influence us in a negative way so often. We're deceived by them, puffed up, our ego, our pride gets puffed up. So be careful with these. We've spoken about the 8 worldly winds quite a few times, and be careful not to be blown off our path with these 8 worldly winds or by these 8 worldly winds, also known as the 8 worldly concerns or the 4 pairs because they come in pairs. So we have pleasure and pain, gain and loss, fame and shame, praise and blame. We try to avoid one side and try to get the other side. Very happy when we get praised, but not happy when we get blamed. Very happy to have some fame, recognition. Not happy if we get the opposite. And we want to gain stuff, we don't want to lose stuff. And we want pleasure, and we don't want pain or displeasure. But don't be blown off the path. You will experience this. This is samsara. This is what happens, but don't add to it. This is difficult stuff we have in life. Often don't add extra difficult stuff. Okay, by adding worry and anxiety and trying to change something that can't be changed here and now, and always wanting something different, wanting different circumstances, rather than dealing with the circumstances we have right now. So often we miss good things. We miss pleasurable things so often because we're searching for pleasurable things. We miss them. But also we try to avoid displeasure or pain. And so often the freedom from this is missed. Hopefully you get what I mean. So, profit and respect are nooses of the Maras. Obviously, you know what a noose is, for hanging. Kind of shackles be another one you could use. The Maras are negativities. Now, there's the big guy Mara, kind of like, it's very different to this, okay, but kind of like some other traditions, they have their devil or whatever, demon. Then you have your small time Maras, sort of like the demons, negative beings, harmful beings. But more importantly for us as practitioners, we have the Mara of the mental afflictions, of ignorance, attachment, aversion, and so on, as well as the Mara of the five skandhas. So our being, our impure existence in samsara, we haven't purified our mind, haven't purified the body yet. These are the Maras we should pay more attention to rather than saying, oh, there's bad conditions that Mara out there did the bad thing. That's a little bit too much like some other traditions. I noticed over the years, a lot of Buddhists actually do talk about such things. And whereas we do have these negative beings around and may be able to influence, it really depends on our karma and the conditions we create ourselves, whether we can be influenced by that negativity or those negativities. So look after your mind, look after your intention. This is like putting up a fence, like I said many times before. Put up a fence on the edge of a cliff if you live on the edge of the cliff so you don't fall over, okay, and harm yourself. Look after your mind. Okay, so profit and respect. So, normally we want profit from things, whether that's money, whether that's material stuff. But also what was the other one there? Respect. Yeah, we want to be respected. We want to be praised and so on. Don't have your existence be about that. If you are praised, take it. Fine. Appreciate it and be happy that the other people, if they're being honest, of course, be happy that they are taking note of good actions so that they too can engage in these types of things. And also, if you do gain profit for things, don't be miserly, don't be greedy, but utilize it well. Even if it is, through things like savings, because you do need some sort of savings in this world that we live in right now to be able to live to the next day, the next week, and so on. Okay, unless of course you have an income, you're working to get some of this profit. Okay, but the other meaning of profit is to always get stuff, never spend it. So be careful not to be miserly, be careful not to be greedy. So they are nooses of the Maras, so brush them aside as like the stones on the path. So we're walking down a path, and there's stones in the way. Brush them aside so you don't hurt your feet, so you don't step on them and cut your feet, so they don't hinder the direction that you're heading in, the Dharma direction, okay? How are we doing for time? 3 minutes to go. So I thought that's why I did the meditation story up front. I wanted to do that and then just focus on this towards the end here. Words of praise and fame, once again, to do with the 8 worldly concerns or winds. Words of praise and fame serve only to beguile us, only to influence us in a negative way from the point of view of increasing our ego. So unless we're checking our mind, unless we're maintaining the pure intention. Therefore, blow them away as you would blow your nose. So, if you get some boogies in your nose, most likely you're going to, even though I mainly use these tissues to wipe my mouth if I have some water in Dharma class, or if it's really hot, sweat. But there have been times when I've had to wipe my nose. And I do that so you guys don't get to experience my boogies in Zoom class, in Dharma class. I'm only mucking around, only teasing. But, we do that if we have some mucus, some phlegm, whatever you call it, whether that's in your nose or whether that's in your throat or chest or whatever. We just get rid of it. You don't want to keep it. And so that's the same when we are praised, when we sort of have some type of fame, just throw it away. Don't worry about it. Once again, be grateful, be happy that the person or people are acknowledging your goodness, maybe, hopefully, and praising it and things like that. Be happy for them if they are doing it honestly. But you yourself, just let it go, just blow your nose. Okay. So get rid of the stones on the path and blow your nose. If you take nothing from this class, or take only a little from this class, I should say, then take that. And I look forward to speaking with you next week, because I know that we've just about finished the class, 1 minute to go. Next week, we will talk about the next three, as well as Mother's Day, maybe. Since the happiness, pleasure, and friends you gather in this life last only for a moment, put them all behind you. Since future lives last for a very long time, gather up riches to provide for the future. You will have to depart, leaving everything behind, so do not be attached to anything, and don't let those ones confuse you. Okay, we're not talking about gathering riches now from a material point of view, to do with the good karma, merit and so on. So I rejoice in your meritorious goodness. I rejoice in seeing your smiles, both from the physical outer point of view as well as inner smile. Okay. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya.